After a heated argument with her fiancé, Michelle gathers her belongings and leaves, leaving her engagement ring and the apartment keys on the counter. She drives for hours through empty rural roads, eventually stopping at a roadside convenience store. There, she notices a car that seems to have been trailing her for a while. Late that night, her fiancé calls, pleading with Michelle to come back, but she ignores him and turns up the radio. Distracted, she loses control of her car. The vehicle flips multiple times before crashing onto the shoulder, and Michelle falls unconscious. When she awakens, she finds herself in a bare concrete room. And 4 is attached to her arm, and her leg is wrapped and restrained with heavy metal chains. Her bags and personal items are stacked in the corner. Using the 4 stand, Michelle reaches for her phone, but there's no signal. Footsteps approach, and the door swings open. A large man sets a tray of food in front of her. She pleads to be released, promising silence, but he explains that he isn't leaving her to die. After leaving the key to her restraints, he exits the room. Michelle frees herself, gets dressed, and sharpens the end of a crutch, preparing to defend herself. Finding the man gone, she sets a piece of fabric ablaze and shoves it into the ventilation duct. The fire alarm blares, and when the man rushes in, he injects her with something that knocks her out. When she comes to, Michelle sees the man sitting beside her bed. He tells her she's fortunate to be alive. She must eat and take her medication because humans are under threat, though the exact nature of it is unknown. They are in a bunker beneath his property. He witnessed her accident and couldn't leave her to die. Michelle demands to call the authorities, but he warns that the outside air is unsafe. It could take at least a year to be breathable again, and if the danger is severe, humanity could be at risk. She asks to contact her family, but he informs her that everyone on the surface has likely perished. As Michelle tries to absorb the news, a loud commotion comes from the next room. The man exits, shouting, then returns, reminding her angrily that she should be thankful he saved her. Before leaving again, he introduces himself, Howard. The next morning, Michelle is awakened by a faint noise coming from above and notices the door slightly ajar. She steps out and finds a young man asleep in the hallway, whom she gently wakes. He tries to calm her, but Michelle tells him she doesn't trust Howard's story. The young man, Emmett, insists that everything Howard said is true. Michelle must use a curtained-off toilet area because Howard worries she might act recklessly again, as she nearly did with the fire. Water usage is restricted and carefully monitored. After the tour, Howard invites Michelle to sit for lunch. She notices a stack of women's magazines, and Howard explains they belong to Megan, who is no longer around. Suddenly, Michelle hears a faint noise outside and guesses it might be a passing vehicle, but Howard firmly insists it's impossible. He is tired of repeatedly explaining that no one survives above, despite being dismissed as insane when he first built the bunker. He offers Michelle a chance to see for herself and leads her up a staircase. At the top, Michelle peers through a small window in the door. The world outside looks normal at first, but in the pen before the house lie dead pigs, covered in deep lesions. Howard explains these were his livestock, which he couldn't save. Then Michelle notices a familiar car, the same one that had followed her the night of the accident. Howard points out that these doors are always locked and shows her the key. Later, Michelle talks with Emmett about the situation. Emmett shares that Howard once served in the Navy. Afterward, he bought the farm and hired Emmett to help with daily chores. Howard has long been fascinated by conspiracy theories, which motivated the bunker's construction. Emmett wasn't kidnapped, he sought refuge there, seeing the investment Howard poured into the safe haven. Michelle reminds Emmett that it was Howard who caused the accident and brought her there, so his warnings of an attack must be lies. But Emmett disagrees. He claims he witnessed the disaster firsthand, a sudden flash, an explosion, and the horizon turning red. He's relieved to have reached the bunker before Howard locked it down. Unaware, Michelle doesn't notice Howard standing silently in the doorway, listening to their conversation. He then steps forward, inviting them to dinner. During dinner, Emmett talks about dreams he never achieved and then notices a board game on the table, suggesting they play it to pass the time. Howard grows irritated with their chatter, while Michelle flirts with Emmett, triggering Howard's outburst. He yells at her, demanding respect since he saved her life. While he scolds them, Michelle quietly takes the keys from his belt. Howard notices her odd behavior and realizes the keys are gone, but a sudden noise above distracts him. Michelle seizes the moment, strikes him over the head with a bottle, and races toward the bunker exit. Emmett shouts for her to stop, but Michelle reaches the door and slips through the airlock just before Howard can react. Outside, Michelle spots a vehicle approaching the farm. She screams, trying to get the driver's attention, but a woman covered in severe skin sores runs to the window, begging to be let inside. Howard forbids Michelle from helping, insisting it's too late to save her. Accepting that some kind of disaster truly occurred, Michelle returns to the bunker. Later, Howard admits that he caused her earlier accident, but insists it's what saved her life. He lends her some of Megan's clothes and sends her to shower since she was near the door. He reveals that the infected woman was his former neighbor. Since news of his bunker is known, others may come seeking shelter. Howard demands Michelle mend the wound she inflicted and begins sharing amusing stories from his Navy days. As Michelle stitches his wound, he praises her efforts while recounting tales. Later, he brings a box containing her belongings from a car and asks about her life. Michelle admits she once dreamed of becoming a fashion designer. Howard shares that his daughter Megan wanted to be an artist. He shows Michelle a photo of Megan as a young girl and laments that after his divorce, Megan's mother turned her against him and moved her to Chicago. Howard vents his frustration at people's disregard for safety but feels comforted that he at least tried to protect them. Later, Emmett reassures Michelle that the woman outside couldn't have been saved even if they had let her in. They reflect on their past lives. Emmett confesses that he had earned a scholarship to a polytechnic school but was too afraid to leave. Michelle shares how her father abused her, leaving her fearful of confrontation throughout her life. Emmett reminds her that, despite everything, they are lucky they survived. Over the next few days, the three of them begin to adapt to their new lives. They play games, cook meals together, and make small adjustments to coexist peacefully. One day, a loud noise echoes from above. Howard warns that if it's a military presence, it isn't from Earth. The flashes they had witnessed earlier were only the first phase. The second phase, clearing out the surrounding area, appears to be underway, likely by unknown forces. Suddenly, the air filtration system stops working. Howard instructs Michelle to crawl through the ventilation ducts to fix it, as she's the only one small enough to fit. She agrees and begins navigating the narrow passages. Eventually, she reaches the filtration unit and manages to reactivate it. While working, Michelle notices something alarming, a message scratched into the glass that reads "Help," along with a blood-stained earring lying beneath a ladder. The earring looks identical to the one worn by Megan in the photo Howard had shown her. Shaken, Michelle tells Emmett about what she found, suspecting Howard might have been involved with Megan. Upon closer examination, Emmett realizes the girl in the photo is not Megan, but Brittany, a classmate of his sister who vanished years ago. A second photo slips from a book, showing Howard with Brittany, dressed in the same outfit Michelle now wears, standing together inside the bunker. Recognizing the danger, Michelle and Emmett quietly begin planning their escape. They gather supplies, Michelle fashions a crude biohazard suit from a shower curtain, and Emmett constructs a homemade gas mask. Their plan involves taking Howard's weapon, restraining him, and sending one of them for help. One evening, while playing charades, they nearly reveal their intentions when Howard grows suspicious. A few days later, Howard summons them and displays a barrel of hydrochloric acid, claiming it is for waste disposal. He then accuses them of scheming against him, revealing the hidden tools they had prepared for their escape. Furious, Howard drops the tools into the acid while Michelle and Emmett watch in horror. To shield Michelle, Emmett claims full responsibility for the escape plan, admitting he intended to fashion a weapon from the tools. Howard, pretending to accept the apology, shoots Emmett without hesitation. Michelle is left stunned and grief-stricken as Howard calmly reassures her, insisting that no one will ever harm her again. He begins attending to her, offering treats and speaking about building a happy life together in the bunker. Determined to flee, Michelle continues working on her biohazard suit while mourning Emmett. One night, however, Howard discovers the hidden suit among her belongings. Michelle manages to slip past him, but Howard catches up, berating her for being ungrateful. In a desperate move, Michelle topples a barrel of acid onto Howard, igniting a fire in the bunker. She grabs her biohazard suit as a severely injured Howard tries to strike her, but she traps him under a heavy shelf and rushes toward the exit. As the fire spreads, Michelle crawls through the ventilation ducts, dodging Howard's attempts to stab her through the grates. She reaches the air filtration room and quickly puts on her biohazard suit. Using a canister of nitrogen, she freezes and shatters the lock on the outer door, finally escaping into the open air. Outside, she heads toward a car but tears her suit in the process, hastily sealing it with duct tape she finds inside the vehicle. Just as she begins to catch her breath, Michelle notices a flock of birds flying overhead. Realizing the air is safe, she removes her gas mask. Her relief is short-lived. An alien ship hovers in the distance. Behind her, the bunker explodes, attracting the aliens' attention. Frantically searching for keys, Michelle can't find them and rushes to the car belonging to the woman who had tried to enter the bunker earlier. The alarm goes off, alerting the alien. Terrified, Michelle hides in a nearby shed, discovering the corpse of the infected woman. Among the body, she finds the car keys just as the alien begins investigating the shed, attempting to push through the small door. Using the distraction, Michelle bolts toward Howard's house, but the alien ship releases a poisonous gas overhead. She quickly dons her gas mask, surviving the chemical attack. Hiding inside the car, Michelle watches as the alien probes the vehicle. When it becomes clear the car cannot be breached, the alien lifts it into the air. Inside, she finds a bottle of flammable liquid and a lighter. She crafts a Molotov cocktail and hurls it into the alien's mouth-like opening. The explosion destroys the alien, and the car crashes to the ground. Michelle survives, climbs out of the wreckage, and drives away in the woman's vehicle. As she drives, lightning flashes, revealing an even larger alien ship looming ominously in the sky. The story may not be perfect, but the tension, pacing, and skillful execution of events keep viewers gripped, raising unsettling questions about who can truly be trusted. That was today's movie. Thanks for watching.